Welcome to Today in My Life, a podcast humanizing life, love, and laughter. Hosted by me, King Smith. This episode is going to be a little bit different in that it's the first one that I'm shooting on video that I'm going to post on both my YouTube channel as well as Anchor, which is where I host my podcast that is then distributed to all major podcasting platforms. So if you're listening to this on audio only and you want to check out my YouTube channel, just go to YouTube and type in "Today in My Life" and it should come up. Now, I'm going to give a recap of 2020 through the eyes of me and kind of give an outlook on how I think 2021 is going to go down. So, just like every year, a lot has happened. There were some things that stood out on a global scale in 2020 and things that hit a little bit more closer to home that I like to bring up. So for the first quarter of this year, actually more specifically from January to February, I was in a situationship with this lady who I met on Bumble, and we had that situationship from August of 2019 to about the week after Valentine's Day. Now, it was a roller coaster to say the least, but in a good way. And I've had no contact with this person since then, but I wish her well. Now, ending that was probably one of the best things that could have happened because now I see value in what I'm doing now, actually. So, what I mean by that is, for about a year and a half after my divorce, I got out on the dating market more to see like if I still got it, right? That was the main reason. I wasn't actually trying to find someone to start another life with. That's what I told myself, but that wasn't the truth. And it took me getting out there to figure that out. So, to the people that I did date during that time, you can kind of call this an apology. I still actually maintain a pretty decent friendship with a few, and it is what it is. Now, coming out of February, going into March, I also moved. The current place that I was leasing from, we didn't end on bad terms or anything like that. It's just they were bringing some other people in, and I needed to move out. It is what it is. Now, as I was looking for a place, I was trying to find a spot that was extremely cheap. And I found that spot, and it was cheap for a reason. This house was an historical home, if you will, and it wasn't in the best shape, but for the price, I did not care. I told myself I could live like a Viking. It is what it is. Now, for the first 3 weeks, it was fantastic. Me and this one other guy moved in at the same time. He was a guy that was going through and on the tail end of a marriage, going through a divorce, and me and him clicked pretty instantly. You know what I'm saying? We were close to the same age. He was a little bit older, but me and him worked out fantastic. The landlady, I don't know how to describe her other than calling her a crazy cat lady because that is what she was. She showed us one side of her during the first couple of weeks that we were there, and then the real her came out shortly thereafter. Now, she ended up staying on the property a little bit longer than planned because, like I said, I moved at the beginning of March. Coronavirus was a thing a couple of days later, and the place that she was supposed to be moving to wasn't passing inspections and just got overall delayed because of COVID-19. So from March to the end of August, thank goodness I only did a 6 month lease. It was a nightmare. Literally up until the day I moved out. Now, the other guy couldn't take it. He said, screw this noise. He was out at the end of month 4. Now, if I had the ability to, I would have done the same thing. But I didn't, and I toughed it out, And that whole 6 month period was a valuable lesson. It was a valuable lesson in, not allowing myself to get to where I have to look for the type of place that I was looking for just to save money. I make really good income in my primary job. That is offset by the fact that I do have a child. I am paying child support for the one child. Not a lot, but it is an expense. Children are an expense. Let's just say it that way. Children are an expense, and a whole lot of debt from bad decisions in my younger days that I have changed my spending habits on, and I'm trying to climb out of the red and get into black. And that's just going to take time. I've been chronicling that journey somewhat on this YouTube channel, but there was no clear uh, set direction that I was taking it. So I figured just whenever things were relevant, I'd talk about it on my podcast. Now, there were some deaths that happened in 2020. One that rocked me pretty damn hard, and two, it affected me, but I didn't really know the people. For example, Kobe Bryant died January 26th. And I know the date for some reason because it just, like, that's how much it just affected me. And he died tragically in a helicopter crash. Chadwick Boseman in August passed away as well. He was dealing with cancer that his closest people knew, but like the world didn't know. And that was another tragic sudden death as well. I want to say he was a little bit older than me, like young 40s. And then one of my uncles passed away. One of my uncles on my mom's side of the family, it's my mom's brother, and that shook. This guy was a master storyteller. He probably exaggerated in 70% of his stories, but you were still fascinated by him. You'd always still want to hear what it was that he had to say and how things went down the way that he told it. Now, he didn't die from COVID. He had a lot of health complications, and in my opinion, didn't do enough to take care of himself given the things that he had going on with him. Now, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but it sparked something in me to really take advantage of the fact that I have wonderful health care. I have health care from being a retired military member, and as well as VA health care. So there were some things that I started to ignore that I finally said, you know what, I should probably ask questions. And I'm glad that I did. I'm not ready to reveal what I'm going through personally myself, only because some of the pieces of the puzzle is still being built. But when those final pieces come together, I'm going to make a whole episode on it because it's my opinion, just talking with my homeboys and things like that, that guys don't really go into their own health care the way that they should. So be on the lookout for that. Now, if you're an investor, which I call myself an investor, but I'm trying to just think of different ways to earn income or generate income, basically, both short term and long term. The market crashed in early March at the same time as the pandemic. It was a global pandemic, so it didn't just affect the US, it affected the world. And the markets took a deep crash. If you had the ability to, that was the time to buy because the market has since soared since March. And if you got into any securities or cryptocurrency, then your portfolio is probably looking real good right now. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, but I follow a lot of different people, and you'll hear a lot of varying opinions about investing or just money management in general, which don't mean a whole lot if you don't really act on them. But if you gain basic knowledge of the stuff and also take action, then there's a chance that money could be made. Now, I use Webull to invest, which I'm going to put a link down in the description as well. Because if you decide to check it out and use my referral link. Me and you both get a little something, something. And I use Coinbase to invest in my crypto, which I'm not smart on this. All right. I do a little bit of research. If I have money after my bills and stuff are paid and I've paid off some debt, I'll buy a little bit of crypto here and there. And I'm what's called a buy and holder, basically. I am crossing my fingers that some of the crypto that I am buying and holding turns out to be what Bitcoin is now. If you bought Bitcoin back in 2013 and you owned a significant amount of it, whether you bought it or if you mined it, you're sitting rich right now. And I personally know one person that did take that gamble and is sitting rich right now. And I'm kind of like, man, if I would have had that knowledge back then, hey, that's the funny part about hindsight being 2020. I think going into 2021, we're going to see what how our government chooses to put regulations and things on crypto, but it's not too late to get in now and gain some returns on your investments if you choose to do it now. I am curious. We did have an election this year for our president. Joe Biden won our election process and will be sworn in January of 2021. The reign of President Trump is over. Whether you think that that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not going to talk about that on my I don't talk about politics a lot because I'm just going to be, I'm not that smart in politics, right? I'm aware of things that's going on. I am aware of national politics to a degree. I am aware of state politics to a degree. And I am aware of like the local town politics to a degree. Because I believe in government and having a governing body. But outside of that, politics can go so many different ways. So I'm just going to stay out of that on this episode and on my podcast. Now, closing out 2020, it ended on a pretty decent note even after everything that occurred. So after I moved out of Crazy Cat Lady Place, I ended up finding a really good spot with somebody who I know pretty well. And that was because I talked about what was going on my personal Facebook page. Had I not done that and kept it to myself, I wouldn't have found the place that I'm at now, which is fantastic. I'm hoping to be here for a good little bit to get some things personally lined up that I want to do, which primarily I'm focused on getting out of debt, improving my health, and staying consistent with this YouTube channel and podcasting, which is hard. I'm doing everything by myself. The writing, the shooting, the editing, all that by myself. And it takes time. Outside of the fact that, or on top of the fact that I've got a primary 9 to 5, it doesn't really leave a whole lot to do other things with when you consider that I could also be using some of that additional time to, do something like Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, earn that additional income to help get in the black a little bit faster on my finances. So that's my 2021. Oh, your boy finished his MBA capstone course. However, I still need quantitative statistics for managers to complete my MBA at Mount St. Mary's. And I'm not registered for the spring courses that are being offered because I was late in applying. So I have to wait until the summer class of 2021 to be able to finish the last course that I need to get my MBA. Yay me. There will be no dating in 2021, just focusing on my grind and my purpose. I think I've shared it in my podcast actually too. I'm not getting remarried. I'm going to actually do a whole episode on why I think marriage is just dead. Um, but outside of that, look, it's me, King Smith. 2021, I don't think is going to be that much different than 2020. I believe, from what I've been hearing, that there's another strain of this COVID-19 that has came out, and I think we're gonna be dealing with this a lot longer than we think. So, however you have to cope with the new normal, you know, figure it out. Have meetings with friends. If you don't have friends, figure out why. Probably has to do with you. Speaking of friends, I've lost some friends in 2020 as well. And it's one of those things, it is what it is. I don't lose any sleep over it whatsoever. And it's just a part of life, man. So, thanks for tuning in. Be on the lookout for future episodes. I've got a dentist that's going to be coming on talking about, life as a dentist, specifically a pediatric dentist. I've got a cop and a sheriff that's going to be coming on. Now that I say that out loud, I'm curious. Prior to the election, there seemed to be a lot of police shootings that made the news. The election happened, and what did they stop? I don't know. You guys tell me. Anyway, if you've made it this far, thanks for tuning in. Type down in the comments below what happened to you in 2020 that caused you to reflect on things. And do you see yourself doing something different in 2021? Thanks for checking out Today in My Life.